Hello everyone, I'm Santiago and today I'm going to be playing Samson on Steam Deck thanks to Liquid Swords for providing a code of the game a few days before release. So, well, what to say, this is a $25 game, it's Unreal Engine 5. Honestly, my expectations for performance on Steam Deck usually on UE5 are pretty low, and Valve is verifying that with me. Graphic settings cannot be configured to run well on Steam Deck, but let's try it anyway. I tried it before. I have a lot to say, so let's get into it. So welcome to Samson. On the menu we got 60 frames, but nothing's going on. Let's go to settings. On gameplay, first of all, I disabled basically everything related to physics, hair simulation, cloth, and animation quality to help the CPU a little bit more. And when it comes to video settings, there's a lot of stuff here. The usual UE5 stuff, TSR, FSR, and that's basically it. There's also frame gen on FSR, but let's leave that for later. On performance, there's ultra performance, but it's not going to make a difference here. Everything on the absolute lowest. Now on accessibility, I disabled camera shake, just personal preference, usually pretty distracting for me. Alright, so welcome to Samson. And well, it's a UE5 game, a AA game. On the lowest settings, it still has ray tracing. And yeah, the shadows are still there. This reminds me of early Borderlands 4. So being a budget title, $25, honestly not expecting much in general, but this is one of those instances where the developers just enable every freaking box when it comes to graphics in UE5 without really knowing how to make it work consistently. I tried this on my PC as well, a very high-end PC, and I was dropping frames like crazy, especially when driving. In this game you're the getaway driver. So there's no guns, there's hand-to-hand combat, which is pretty cool, it's fun. But just the CPU performance leaves a lot to be desired in general, at least when it comes to this game. But the main thing on this game, apart from combat, is driving. And the driving, once you start just moving around, the game just falls apart when it comes to CPU performance. Again, we're talking here, what I'm showing you is a Steam Deck, so expected behavior on a new UE5 game. But even on my PC, this has a lot of issues when it comes to CPU performance. And despite the pop-in and basically just basic cars driving around and some NPCs walking, I don't think there's a lot that is complex about this game to justify that level of performance in general. Again, considering it's a Steam Deck, this was expected behavior, especially in a UE5 game. But I mean, even if you're talking about a AA game that is $25, I think this is just a bad use of UE5, at least initially. Because again, you check every box for ray tracing, for anything visual related, and you get performance like this if you're not optimizing. So honestly, not surprised, considering even AAA UE5 games run poorly. Here you don't even have some level of polish when it comes to the technical stuff, technical performance stuff. So it's honestly a disappointment in general, but obviously on Steam Deck it wasn't going to run properly. So yeah, we're the getaway driver as usual, so we gotta wait for the criminal to come to us. There goes, he did something bad, and we gotta help him. Okay, he's coming. Police is going after us.
The cops, of course.
And again, one of the main things is that you are the getaway driver. So driving in the game should be... I mean, it doesn't drive poorly. The thing is, the performance gets hit so bad when driving that even the handling of the car breaks. But here we're below 20 FPS, so I get that the driving mechanics can break at such a low frame rate. And well, TSR looks like absolute garbage. I saw better implementations of TSR in other UE5 games, even at this low pixel count. Alright, so now being nighttime, things get even more difficult just due to the fact that every light here casts shadows. So let me show you what I mean. So these lights from the gas station, these spotlights, all cast real-time shadows of your character. This is a big hit to performance, obviously. Nice. So when you're driving, it's even more stuff to load and more stuff for the GPU to do. And again, we're at the lowest settings. I think if they wanted to balance it out, I'm not saying the game should look potato at the lowest settings. What I mean is there could be some visual sacrifices for lower end systems. I mentioned this as well in Borderlands 4 the first time I saw it, and now they had a patch that made it playable, and many of the light shadow casting lights were turned off. So yeah, I mean, clearly a budget title, but when it comes to the technical stuff, I'm pretty disappointed. Again, I know it's a $25 title and whatever, but I mean, it should be accessible to as many people as possible, especially if they want to get this game to be popular. It needs to be at least accessible for people with lower end systems, especially considering you can notice it's a AA title, especially when it comes to animation. I mean, I'm not saying the animations are bad, but it feels incomplete. I have faith that in the future they can... I mean, I think there's a lot of space to improve the performance. It's just a matter of tweaking engine settings, at least in my opinion, for the lower settings. Because performance, apart from the resolution, I don't think really makes that much of a difference when it comes to visuals. Obviously, visuals are worse. There's worse shadow draw distance, more pop-in. But at the same time, I think they can actually fix it at some point. The thing is how much money they have to actually make that happen. But again, I think it's a fun game as long as you have a PC that can actually make it run correctly. That's my thing with it. And you have to go with the mindset that this is not a AAA GTA game or something like that. This is clearly a budget title, which is okay. I don't mind. The only thing that I need from them, honestly, is to them to optimize better for CPU, especially, and the lower settings. Again, I think there's a lot of room for improvement when it comes to that. Obviously, on the Steam Deck, it wasn't going to work properly. That was my expectation, at least, from a new UE5 game. Yeah, if you have a good enough PC, I will give it a shot. It's fun, but clearly AA and technically incompetent for now. Not sure how they're going to make this work on consoles, considering how it ran on my PC, at least on the CPU side. On the GPU, it isn't so bad. The thing is, the CPU performance leaves a lot to be desired. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Give it a try. I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys. Thanks for watching. And let me punch someone in the face. Even this light casts shadows. Reduce to atoms.